My daughter shouted that I was a disgrace after I expelled my unfaithful wife, so I shared the DNA test results and severed ties with both. Greetings, Reddit community. I'm David, 46 years old, and until 6 months ago, I believed my life was fairly ordinary. My wife, Laura, and I had been married for 24 years. We had a daughter, Sophie, now 22, who had been my greatest treasure since the day she arrived. Or so I thought. It began quietly, as most catastrophes do, late nights at work, strange messages Laura would brush off with a forced chuckle. When I asked if something was wrong, she'd give me a fragile smile and say, "You're overthinking, David. Don't create problems where none exist." I trusted her, or at least I wanted to. I needed to. We'd built a life together, a home. I worked grueling hours to ensure Sophie had everything. Ballet classes, summer camps, a college savings plan. Laura stayed home, claiming she wanted to prioritize family. Maybe that's why her betrayal cut so deeply. I discovered it by chance, a tablet left on the counter, notifications flashing while Laura was outside tending the flowers. My hands shook as I picked it up. Part of me didn't want to look, but I had to know. There they were. Explicit texts, photos, videos, meetups. The worst part. The affair had lasted years, 5, maybe 6. Some messages dated back to before Sophie finished high school. Laura wasn't even discreet anymore. She was in love with this man, a colleague I'd met once at a holiday party. That night I confronted her. She wept, naturally claiming it just happened. That I'd been emotionally unavailable, that I should have seen her discontent. She didn't truly apologize, she blamed me. It wasn't anger I felt, it was a hollow, echoing void, as if everything I knew had been carved out, leaving me empty. I told her to leave. She resisted at first, staying in the spare room for a week, like an unwelcome guest. Sophie came home from college that weekend after I called her, expecting her to be appalled by her mother's actions. I was terribly mistaken. Sophie unleashed her fury, not at Laura but at me. She stood in the living room, trembling with rage, her voice breaking as she yelled, "How dare you throw Mom out over this? You're a pathetic loser if you can't handle the truth. You failed as a father, a husband, and a man." Each word struck like a blow to my heart. This was my daughter, the one whose recitals I never missed, whose late-night anxieties over college essays I soothed, whose first car I worked overtime to afford. And now she called me a failure. I stood there, stunned, feeling something inside me break. In that moment, the pieces fell into place. The timeline, the arguments Laura and I had, the odd remarks from her friends that never added up until now. I'd suspected for years that Sophie didn't resemble me. Different hair, different nose, different eyes. But love blinds you. You convince yourself biology doesn't define family. Yet that night with Sophie glaring at me like I was an intruder in my own home, I needed the truth, even if it destroyed me. So I acted discreetly. I found an old comb of Sophie's, sent it with my sample for a private DNA test. The results arrived 3 weeks later, 0% probability of paternity. Sophie wasn't mine, not biologically. It felt like the earth collapsed beneath me. 22 years, a lie.
I can't tell you the full story in this short video. If you want to see the full story, the link is given below. Click on it to watch the full story.